Action over anxiety. What do I mean by this? Listen carefully. Anxiety is rarely ever caused by action, but it is caused by overthinking. I'll say it again. Anxiety is rarely ever caused by action, but it is caused by overthinking. When I first heard anyone ever say that, it resonated with me, especially as I've suffered with anxiety in the past. Picture this, 8 years ago when I first ever started to do speaking in front of groups. I had about 15 words in my vocabulary. I hated the way I sounded and looked. I mean, at that time I had severe acne and I still got the scars on my face today. I was terrified of talking in front of groups. I even hated one-on-one conversations. I used to overthink everything. What would happen? How would people react? What would people think? Will they laugh at me? What if I say something wrong? And a list of things can really go on. The more I thought about these things, the worse it got. And it would result in me not turning up or the talk being terrible because I was so nervous and my mind was everywhere else. But once I had a long drive as I had a talk in a school. The traffic was busy, which meant I turned up 5 minutes before I was supposed to go on stage. When I arrived, I signed in, went straight to the hall and plugged in my session and just started. At that time, it was probably one of the best talks I have ever delivered. I didn't have the time to think about everything, what could go wrong. I didn't have time to think whether they would like me. My only option was action. That changed a lot for me and made me realize what was possible. I know I was overthinking everything, which was causing a huge amount of overwhelm and stress. When in reality, if I just continued to take the necessary steps instead of just thinking about all the external factors, I would have been much happier and felt better about myself. This may resonate with many of you, especially if you're doing your GCSEs. It's easy to overthink your exams. It is easy to think that these exams will define your future. Then you start to think about the worst case scenarios. Instead, we should put our energy on action. We cannot control what grades we get, but we can control how much effort we put in. If we start taking control of this regardless of the grades, we will know we tried our best. Most of the time, this action is not about huge heroic steps. It's all about taking small steps on a consistent basis. For example, just 10 to 15 minutes a day on GCSE Pod on the way to or from school for 6 months would equal about 50 hours of revision. Or go into 3 1-hour intervention clubs a week for 6 months will roughly be an extra 75 hours. Combine the two and really focus when you are in class, then you are already on track and you will be doing more than most. So guess what? When your exams arrive, you wouldn't feel as stressed or overwhelmed or anxious because you have put in the work, or as I like to call it, the action.